Hi everyone, and welcome to the next installment of my project to build Warhammer's Castigator tank, Sisters of Battle. As you can see from this short video, all of the painting has now been done, and in this video we're going to be looking at some of the techniques and the colours that I use to create this effect. So if that's something that's of interest to you, then feel free to pull up a chair and let's go and do some modelling. So first of all, the main bodies were all broken down into each of their constituent parts to make painting easier. This was all then cleaned up with soapy water. First of all, a black primer using Mr. Surfacer was laid down. As you can see from this still, I completely forgot to put the rocket launchers on the top. So those were added. I also made some grenades out of styrene rod. And again, once added on, they were then primed up as well. Now, I decided to initially put down a coat of Vallejo steel. Rather than using an airbrush, I decided to dry brush this on, basically because this gives it a bit more of a coarse look, rather than the smooth finish of using the airbrush. And as you will see, this comes out really well. Not only was the lower hull done, but also the turret as well. And as we look around, you sort of got the intermittent black as well as the steel coming through. So really pleased with how that turned out. Next, what I wanted to do is just add a bit of interest. So using the Fallout Hobbies stencils, which are of skulls. I wanted to add some skull stencils on the side and on the top turret. So first of all, again, dry brushing using Vallejo orange. We first of all put down a base to which I could then build up the other colours. And again, it's just a simple matter of dry brushing, being careful not to pull up the paint as you go. And then in between each coat, drying with the hairdryer. And then once done, finally applying the Ferrari red, which will be the actual final colour of the skull. And then once that was dried with the hairdryer, using Vallejo smoke, a very light wash was applied over the top as well. Once that was dry, it was a matter of getting the stencil. Took a little bit of time to get these centralized and straight, but it was worth the patience, and it certainly looked better once it had all been done. So as you can see, I'm just trying to do this by eye, and I was pleased with the way that one sat in the end. Once done, it's just a matter of dry brushing over the steel again, because what we're now going to be doing is looking at doing some hairspray chipping. So the way I do it is that I hold the model at arm's length and I do a couple of passes of the hairspray on each of the sides. Once that's dry, I then do the same process again, and then once that's dry, I then covered it in Tamiya flat black. Now, as that's starting to dry, I pulled off the stencils. Probably after about half an hour to 3/4 of an hour of the Tamiya drying, I then set about doing the chipping using the different tools that we'll go through here. This is the stencil on the top of the turret. So we have 2 on the main body and 1 on the turret. So as far as the tools go for the hairspray chipping, we have different brushes, the cut down one for the chipping and the other ones for cleaning up. Steel wool brushes as well, and also some steel wool itself, which gives you some really nice fine scratches, and some clean water, and obviously your tissue towels. So I'm just going to show you the basics on the hatch cover. So first of all, I cover the whole area with water just to activate the hairspray underneath. and then start chipping away using the fine metal pens. No need to apply any force at all, just gently going around creating the weathered look that you want. Then once that's done, we can then go in with the brush. Now be very careful here, because if you go in too hard, you can take larger chips off. But what we want to do is just to enhance that look, just tidy it all up, do a little bit of burnishing, and then with the dry, larger brushes, go in there and wipe off any excess. Now we're going to repeat the same with the vertical planes where the two hatches join each other, and this time I'm using the steel wool, and this is really good stuff. It really does create some lovely fine scratches. And again, a little bit of enhancement with the wire pen as well. So here are some stills, some close-ups to give you an idea of the final look that you can achieve using these particular methods through the hairspray chipping techniques. So the whole model was done overall, as you can see. I've gone quite heavy in places, really, because most of this is going to get covered up. This is just the first layer in a long line of layers that we're going to add to this model during the weathering process. But really pleased with how this was all heading. And if you look at the real close-ups here, you can still see those lovely scratch marks where it's all been in pencil. And this is the turret as well, received the same process because of the metal solder wire used for the welds. They're quite easy to chip and gives a nice effect, and lots of scratches there again. So really pleased with how that had turned out as well. As for the barrels, yeah, these were great. Really pleased with that. I haven't actually scratched the barrels themselves because they will be painted different colours, but the main holders have all been scratched, and I was really pleased with the way they were looking as well. I've also decided to add some stowage onto the back, so they'll be weathered and painted in a similar way. A driver as well. Lots of fine scratches and detail on there. Now, I'm a great fan of the yellow and black stripe look, so it was a matter of using Tamiya masking tape, masking off all the particular areas that we're going to be doing. Now, obviously, it's always difficult to paint light colours on top of dark primer, so initially I'm going to be dry brushing on some white primer. Probably need to do 2, maybe 3 layers. I did a couple of layers and I was quite pleased with the way it done. And as you can see, it's just a matter of very lightly dry brushing. No need to use any force whatsoever. And this process was repeated on all the areas that were going to be painted in lighter colours. So again, easier just to dry brush rather than actually airbrush the yellow. Took about 2 or 3 layers and just use the hair dry in between to dry out each layer as you go. And obviously don't forget the side sponson area as well. Now, as far as the red theme goes, I wanted to carry that on through at the front and the back. So using the same principles as what we did with the skulls, it was a matter of laying down the lighter oranges and putting that on the side with the Ferrari red. Once that was done, the obviously yellow was now dry, and I decided to add some rust effects. Just put a little bit of orange rust down, and then once that had dried, just do some more sponge chipping on top with the German can black, and that really does give a nice effect and then that's finally finished off with a wash of smoke. And as you can see, that's quite a nice base that we'll be able to do some more work on. And there we can see the Ferrari red stripes at the front and the back to complement the skulls on top. So very pleased with how that turned out. And as far as the sculptures on the side go, they've initially been done in white, but we have a long way to go with those, with lots more washes and colours to be done on them. So returning to the main barrel, I've decided to put a bit of a pattern on this one and be a little bit different. So I want a base of white. So that was done on the single barrel, and as far as the double barrel goes, I decided to go for the sort of metallic ray gun type of effect. So laying down the Vallejo metallics first, then with the copper, and then we're going to be using the shifters colors that you can get from Vallejo. These are great colors. A bit of a pink there to mix in with the copper, and then on the front and another purpley pink effect as well. And then once that was all dry, it was out with the burnt iron again from Vallejo, just to cover in the muzzle area. But really pleased with how that looked. So returning to the main barrel, I decided to use the smaller skull masks, and those were put all over the barrel itself, as you can see there, making sure that they're pressed down as hard as possible to prevent any leakage. And then once that was done, it was a matter of making up a metallic red, again sticking with the Ferrari red. We just added a little bit of Vallejo darker metallics, and then the red was added, and it's just a matter of doing it up until the consistency that you like, and also the shade of red that you like as well. Then once that was done, it was a matter of just putting it into the airbrush. Now it's very important that you put this down very light layers. Use the hair dry in between each layer and build up to do about 3 or 4 layers. Once you're happy with the coverage, it was a matter of taking off the masks. Unfortunately, there was a little bit of leakage because I'd obviously pushed it a bit with the hairdryer, but that cleaned up quite nicely. As far as the underneath goes, I like to spend a bit of time on the underneath. Here I've laid down some mud and then some dark earth, and then it was just a matter of, once that was all dry, giving a dry brush with light mud, and this creates a really nice effect, especially with the texturing that we had added on the bottom when we did the initial build of the model. And there we go, that's a really nice effect, and that will be further enhanced later with the oils. But yeah, pleased with how that looks now looking. Next, we're going to be doing the actual tracks themselves. It's a matter of getting some rusty colours and sort of doing the wet method of just adding on the colours as they are drying. We've got to be fairly quick. So you don't want to be pulling any of the paint off. If you're a little bit unsure, you can always add a little bit of retarder to the paint itself. If you work quickly enough, it's quite an easy process. And then once that was fully dry, it was a matter of getting some burnt umber and creating a light wash, and then covering the whole of the tracks with that. And then once that was dry, it was a matter of going around using steel on all of the raised edges, as though it was traveling on a road or tarmac, and that creates that nice burnished look. So yeah, really pleased with how that was now looking. As for some of the metallic looks on the outside, we have the exhausts stacks on the side. They were done with the exhaust manifold from Vallejo, and then they're given a wash of smoke, and that gives this really nice sort of antique metal type look, which I'm a big fan of. And we did similar processes to the iron grate around the exhaust stacks as well, which will be rusted up later. As for the burning embers, laid down a wash of orange red first, and then a heavier one of light red. Again, a base coat, which will be further enhanced with the oils later. The turret, well, that was completely blinged out, using bronzes and golds and aged gold from Vallejo, which is a really nice colour. Really pleased with how that turned out. Put a bit of a leather look on the hatch as well. Using the reds again, we've put a little crystal there on the spotlight. And it's just a matter of fine detailing with the metallics and just having a bit of fun, really. Really pleased with how the turret had turned out. And you can see all the effect of that cast texturing as well. It really does look the part now. And there we have it. The grenade launchers, we did a bit of copper metallic on those, as well as the golds and the silvers. Still see a fair bit of scratching there and chipping. A lot of that will go during the oil work. There we have the effects of the rust effects and the antique iron underneath. A lot of bling as well with the aged gold. We've got the blue turquoise headlamps, which is a really nice colour. We have the front gun as well, went for the blue metallic there, as well as coppers. Really nice how they were turning out. As for the statues, they've been given a dry brush of aged white as well, but still a long way to go with those. And some of the hidden areas as well need to be painted, because you never know what the viewer can see. And the underneath again, really pleased with how that was all looking. On the back, we have the fleur-de-lis with the skull in the middle. Nice bit of detail painting there. That was a bit of fun to do. So yeah, all in all, really pleased with the main body. As for the barrels, yeah, they turned out really well, both the double and the single. I'm really pleased with the metallic look there. After a bit of tidying up of the skulls, a little bit more detailed painting now. I think that's pretty good. That is quite like that. Turned out nicely. The side sponson guns, superb. Really pleased. Using the black and the yellow markings again. Lots of coppers and reds. The stowage, totally blinged out there. Whites and reds and bronzes. Very nice. And this is the driver's gun. Again, lots of different colours. Used well over 50 colours in this build. Really enjoyed it. And this is the driver himself. I've put his head just to one side just to be a little bit different. And we've got some leather effect gloves on there. And this is the bazooka. Again, lots of different colours. Again, the coppers and the golds. Just to keep that metallic theme running all the way through. So there we have it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have actually painting the tank. Just a big thank you, really, for your continued support of my work. A massive thank you to all of my subscribers, old and new. Appreciate you popping in and having a look. And happy modelling.